Hello everyone, we are back from Quartzsite. We've actually been back about 3 weeks. We've been goofing around doing other things, taking care of the house, the trailer, checking on things, buying stuff, doing laundry, all that stuff you do when you come back. So this is going to be a pretty boring video because the only thing I'm going to really do is go over some of the ups and downs of Quartzsite and our trip out there, and some of the stats and how long it took us to get there and get back and all that. I'll see if my little buddy wants to come out here and be on the video here. He finally decided to eat his breakfast. It's about 3 o'clock. And I've been trying to train him to not be afraid of stainless steel buckets and food bowls, so he actually is getting in there, and we're out here in the sun. The sun came out. It was a nice cloudy day, and I'm not into sunshine. I don't know if you know that, but my hometown, Syracuse, New York, never has sunshine. It's a cloudy part of the world. It's cloudy, I think, 364 days of the year. One day there's a little sunshine, and that may be in the spring. And it looks like the sun's going away for a minute. Come here. Come up here. Come up on the bench. You don't like this bench because it's got too much space between the slats that you sit on, so his feet can go through it. Get up here. Come on, get up. 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 All the way up. Come here and sit. Sit. Yeah, you're all right. People want to see you. Sit. Okay, get out of here. So, we headed out of Quartzsite and went over to the Sequoia National Forest, which is in California, and stopped at the Joshua Tree National Forest, which I think that video is coming up if it hasn't already been up. The videos are way out of order. I edited them and posted them up as I had time and the brain cells to be able to edit them. So they're all out of order, but they're up there. Then we went from Sequoia National Park to Zion National Park. Zion's pretty interesting. It's not really my cup of tea because it's really just a canyon. Canyon walls, big rocks, big tall spires of mountains that look like buildings, and there's some color there. They're white on top and red on the bottom. And that's because the top is sandstone and the bottom is another kind of metamorphosed rock. So as a result, the sandstone has water in it and has a pretty good water table above the other rock. So you get year-long waterfalls and ponds and streams and springs all along the canyon. But they don't make them anything special except for a couple places. And of course the Virgin River that runs through the canyon is kind of interesting. It's got fish and animals that come down and drink out of it. But for just start with facts and figures, we drove 9,500 miles just to Quartzsite. Total cost of gas to get there was about $900. We spent 31 days on the road camping on the way out. 13 different campgrounds, which cost about $300. And camping fees. Not bad. That's not bad if you think if you stayed 31 days in hotels or motels along the way, it would probably cost you $33,000. So $300 isn't bad for camping. And that $300 includes the 14 days at Quartzsite, which is 14 days is $40 at Quartzsite. I'm not sure if that's changed yet. There's a lot of feedback on they were going to make it $200 for 14 days and $600 for the whole season. So I don't know where that's gone. I haven't really checked on any of that. At Quartzsite we went 12 days without a shower. Then we fired up the hot water tank in the trailer and tried to get clean there. That caused us to flood the camper, flood the floor around the kitchen and the bunkhouse, and we had to clean that up, which it really needed to be cleaned up. If you saw the video, you know that Quartzsite is extremely dusty, and it's a desert, of course, so it's dust that you carry around for a while, so it was pretty, you don't want to be a germaphobe or a clean nut, because it's not the place to do that. The other thing I found out about Quartzsite is after a day or so of walking around, my ankles were just incredibly itchy, and so were my shins. And I found out that the desert has something similar to chiggers. Chiggers, if you don't know what a chigger is, it's a kind of a mite that crawls up your leg, and they're most prevalent around Western Virginia. And they crawl up your leg and burrow into your skin, and they're itchy. They just drive you nuts with the amount of itch they are. And that's a chigger. Now, the desert has something similar. They're just called desert mites, and they're a little tiny thing. You can't see them, but they shimmy up your leg, and they eat the skin, the cells on top of your leg. And what they do that by biting and injecting some saliva that dissolves the cells, and then they can just kind of lap it up, and that causes extreme itching. And it doesn't bother Akila much because he's usually pretty covered in permethrins, which keeps all the ticks and mites and mosquitoes and everything away from him. We sprayed him down 2 or 3 times on our trip out there and back, because especially in the south you get all sorts of things that you're afraid he might get, heartworm and tick diseases and all that stuff. So I keep him pretty well coated. One of the things I noticed about Quartzsite is there are an awful lot of people driving around. There are a lot of ATVs and UTVs and side-by-sides zooming around where we were, looking for things and trails, and they're a real pain in the neck. So there's always dust floating around in the sky. But despite all the dust and all the dirt that's landing on you all the time, you don't really feel dirty, because the dust is kind of like a talcum powder. You feel like you've got powder on you. So it's not, you don't really feel dirty or grungy like you do if you're at the beach or something and you get sand on you. But the dust definitely gets in your nose and your eyes and stuff, and you wake up with these big tailing ponds in your eyes, and your nose, when you blow your nose, you're getting a tissue full of mud. And I'm not sure how much silica dust is in it, but that's not good for your lungs, of course, so I don't know about that. I didn't breathe the dust. We went through a cloud. Somebody drove by us. We didn't really breathe much. So on the chiggers, or the desert mites, I found spraying my socks with the permethrins that I spray on Aquila kept them away pretty well. Also, to get rid of the itching, I rubbed my ankles with alcohol, and that killed any mites that might be on my skin that I can't see. And I guess it changed the chemistry of what they bite you with, so that it stops the itching pretty good. But permethrin spray is a marvelous thing to use if you're out in the wilds. It works great on almost everything, and it actually kills, like, ticks. If a tick crawls on a piece of cloth that has permethrin sprayed on it within the last couple of weeks, it dies. It just curls up and dies. It's pretty fun to watch. Since I don't like ticks one bit. Give you a little insight onto the adventures we had at Quartzsite. We originally stayed in the Magic Circle, which is an area that is posted for clothing optional. So there are, if it gets warm, there are a bunch of people that are walking around with everything hanging out and swinging in the wind. And I don't know that when we were there was anybody doing that, because the wind was blowing, and I don't think it ever got above 50 degrees. It was cold most of the time, and it was below freezing at night. But we camped in the Magic Circle because I had intended on using the outside shower on the trailer, and I thought that would be less offensive to most people if we were in that designated clothing optional area. People would understand that that's just my option. And I do have a surround that I would stand in that for my shower, outside shower. If you look on my August of 23 video, I used it on the A-liner, and I used it on the Wolf Pup up in the Tea Creek boondocking area. And it's really nice to be able to shower outside, not worry about getting arrested or being in trouble or having people come up and yell at you. So we moved from the Magic Circle to another spot that was outside the Magic Circle, and a little less crowded. We were at the very end of the long-term visitor area, right on the edge. We put the trailer up against a wash where there were some trees, and that gave Aquila a place to lift his leg or squat, whatever he wanted to. So we did that. So on about the third or fourth day of camping out there in the new spot, Aquila wanted to go to McDonald's for chicken nuggets. We get the meal deal, and with the meal deal you get hamburger, French fries, drink, all that stuff, and then you get I think a little 4-pack of chicken nuggets, and he always likes those. So we did that, but we went around 4:30, and of course it got dark at 5. So when we decided to return to camp, it was dark, and driving around Quartzsite in the dark is quite a bit different than driving around in the day. So see, he's getting all excited because I'm talking about chicken McNuggets. And we got lost. We didn't really get lost. We kind of knew where we were, and we were in the Forerunner, so the desert was no challenge to the Forerunner. We drove wherever we wanted to go. We took out a few mesquite bushes and a few creosote bushes, but we drove around as what we figured was the entire LTVA area, and we drove by this one campsite about 6 times, and finally the guy come out and say, "Do you need help? Are you lost?" I said, "Just a little." He says, "Well, where are you camped?" I said, "Somewhere over there." He says, "Well, do you know your way there from the main road?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, the main road's right over here. I'll show you." I said, "Yeah, I know the main road. I know where we are, but I didn't know where my campsite was." And the reason is because the route to the campsite was a road that had little orange surveyor flags along the road, but I couldn't see those in the dark, or they were all covered in mud, because we drove around for another couple hours, and finally about 1 a.m. in the morning I decided I was sick of wasting gas crashing through the bush trying to figure out where our camper was. And one of the things, of course, you can't see that well in the dark out there, even with all the headlights and emergency lights I've got on the truck. We drove off a few washes and planted the front end of the vehicle, the 4Runner, into the side of a bank of a wash. And if you don't know, a wash is like a stream bed that's dry, that only gets filled when there's a big thunderstorm. And they're kind of dangerous, because those are the areas where you can get you can drive into and drown if there's water in them. Once in a while people are stupid enough to put their trailers in there, or their RVs in there, and when it rains they just wash away. But that wasn't what happened to us. But anyways, so we spent the night out in the desert, sleeping in the car. The 4Runner isn't totally uncomfortable. Aquila sleeps in it all the time. But I couldn't get stretched out. As soon as the sun came up, we figured out where we were and where the camp was, so we got back to the camper. And the funny thing is I even had it pinned on my phone on the Google Maps. I had exactly the location. But you know, if you say go to that pin with Google Maps, the first thing it wants to do is take you to the best road there is nearby. And that was Route 95 that runs from Yuma up to Quartzsite. So a couple of times we're driving along, and all of a sudden we're finding we're coming out on this highway. And of course they had to jump up on the bank and get in on the highway and try not to run into anybody. So that was one of our biggest adventures. But we finally found camp in the light of the day, and we went in and went to sleep and slept till about 2 o'clock. I was impressed by the 4x4 ability of the 4Runner, though. It was capable of going through that desert in any direction, any place we wanted to go. And it did real well. We obviously drove quite a ways out of the designated camping area. And I'm sure at one point we were in the, they call the Coda Wildlife Management Area. It's a wildlife refuge. It's an area where you can see bighorn sheep and wild horses and coyotes and all sorts of things. While we were crashing through the brush, we did see some jackrabbits, some coyotes, some pack rats, some deer. We ruffled a lot of fur out there, which was kind of nice. The jackrabbits are huge. They're like 2 feet high. They're bigger than Aquila. The jackrabbits were more scary than the coyotes. Coyotes just look like small dogs. They're not very big in reality. And Aquila was not happy with the 4x4 capabilities, because we were jumping rocks and logs and cactus and everything else. So something you might want to try and work on is if you put a pin to get somewhere, where does your map program take you? Does it take you a straight line to the pin, or does it take you out to a road and then route you to where you're supposed to be? Because there are no roads in this camping area. It's just they're you know, dust paths that cars and vehicles have made, but they don't show up on Google Maps or anything like that. So that was our first experience with being lost, and there will be more. Trust me. So by the time we left Quartzsite, we had driven down to Yuma, Arizona, which is right on the border, and to a number of the other camping areas. There's Imperial Dam is a camping area that I think we're going to go to next year, and it's got a lake and a dam, and it's got showers and lots of water. But we also went up to Parker, Arizona, which is the big town with the Walmart, 60 miles north of Quartzsite. And then when we left Quartzsite, we went to Sequoia National Forest. It's not the national park, it's a forest. It's a regular national forest. And it's nowhere near the Sequoia National Park, and there are no sequoia trees anywhere in the national forest. So we got all set up. We decided that that was a mistake of mine, that I didn't want to stay in the national forest if there were no sequoia trees. So we drove to Sequoia National Park, which was 279 miles round trip. And when we got there, the rangers stopped us and said, hey, you know, we got snow on the top of the mountain. You need chains to get up there. I said, this is a four-wheel drive 4Runner with snow tires on it. I said, I don't need chains. And they said, no, you need chains. We got 4 inches of snow up there in places. I said, fella, I'm from New York. Where I live, you get 4 feet of snow, and we don't have chains. This is quite capable. But they wouldn't let me go up. And then the guy says to me, you can actually rent chains down at the gate. There are the bars and restaurants down there will rent you a set of chains. I said, how do I know they'll fit my tires? He says, well, you don't need to have them fit your tires. You just need to have them with you in case you really need them. I said, I'll never need them. And so we didn't actually go up and see the trees because they had that all blocked off for vehicles that had chains. So I think when we go back out there, we'll probably buy a set of chains for $50 before we go, so we have chains ready. And there are passes over the Sierra Nevada mountains that you can't drive on the highway without chains, which is really stupid. You know, I don't think the 4Runner has any problems getting through any amount of snow that they ever get. I mean, like I say, where I lived in New York, it used to get 4 to 6 feet of snow on a day at work. And I got a video up that shows the amount of snow we used to get driving to work. And that video is driving a Taurus station wagon. Not the best vehicle in the world, but it had excellent snow tires. And the 4Runner has excellent snow tires. I mean, they're all-season snow tires, but they're aggressive tread, so they get through anything. So that's another example of stupid national park rules. The cost of camping on the way back was $371. And we went from National Forest, the Sequoia National Forest, we went to Joshua Tree National Park, which, like any national park, has absolutely no hookups, no amenities. It had flush toilets, but no showers. Now, I don't understand how you do that. If you've got flush toilets, why can't you have showers? I mean, how much more trouble is it to put a shower head somewhere in the bathroom? Put it over the toilet for all I care. I'll take a shower while sitting on the toilet or whatever. And we went to Red Rocks campground, which is I think it might be a national park campground because it had absolutely nothing. In fact, Red Rocks and Joshua Tree and Valley of Fire all had signs that says, please do not fill tanks on your RV. Water is precious. And, you know, water is rare or whatever here. Obviously the drought really changes the whole idea there. And at Valley of Fire, the campground had a real nice shower house. And we did take a shower there despite the sign that said showers closed, water rationing in use. We saw several people taking showers there, and I wasn't going to be the good guy at that point. It'd been too long for showers, and the shower in the RV had been a bad experience, so they had a wonderful shower, and we took a pretty conservative shower in their shower house. I think it took me all of about 10 minutes. Camera stopped recording, so I don't know how long that happened, but we're back. You know, you think when he's behind the camera he could keep an eye on it and tell me when it stops recording, but he doesn't do that. He comes over and tells me that I'm ugly and I need more makeup, but go lay down. Go. Joshua Tree and the Red Rocks campground were awful. Neither of them allowed you to actually get into the park free. You had no rights as a camper. I had rights because I had my senior pass. But at Red Rocks, that's a concessionaire station, so they wanted another $4 or $3 to get into the Red Rocks Scenic Drive. Joshua Tree was a regular national park, so they just let me fly in, fly by, fly through, and that was okay. They had a lot of nice places to stop and check things out at the park, little attraction centers. But the campgrounds for both of them were not level, no amenities, water rationing, and not easy to get in your site. My site at Joshua, I had to literally drive through a little garden area to get the trailer back into this site. There was no pull around, and there's no space on the road to back in or anything. When I left, I drove through another site to get out because there's the site next to me. I could drive to the site next to me, but Valley of Fire, of course, had full hookups if you wanted to pay for them. I had electricity and water, but of course the water was turned off because they were on rationed water. They did have water at the dump station. You could put water in your tanks at the dump station, but they asked you to limit it to 10 gallons or something like that. Valley of Fire was awesome. I really liked the Valley of Fire. Their visitor center was super. We got there when we got to Joshua Tree. The visitor center was closed because they were closed from 12:30 to 2. And you know, when they finally opened and I got in there to register for the campsite, and there were 4 rangers and volunteers, so I couldn't figure out why they were closed from 12:30 to 2. I mean, give me a break. They all go to lunch at the exact same time. Make the lunch hours staggered so people can still come in and register for camping and stuff. But maybe there's an issue there with, you know, rangers or volunteers stealing stuff. I hope you're enjoying all the noise out here. We got my neighbor's dog barking, we got the birds singing, we got incredible noise from the frogs. The peeper frogs down in the swamp behind my house is mostly swamp. Gosh, they're noisy. And for your information, this may be on the video, but a Joshua tree is not really a tree. It's actually a grass. The way the thing is grows and the trunk isn't wood, it's like grass. It's like a bundle of grass. So it's kind of interesting tree, but I don't think they're a beautiful tree like, you know, a maple or an oak or something like that, or a redwood or anything like that. The Red Rocks campground, I saw no host or ranger or anybody. There were two A-liners there. Came down, and one of them came down to say hi, and I didn't get their name, or I put it on the video, or on this video. The only interesting thing about Red Rocks is that they had all these pit toilets. They had quite a few pit toilets, and they all had solar lights inside, so that when you went in the pit toilet in the dark, suddenly the lights popped on. They didn't have those at Quartzsite. Those pit toilets were dark as a tomb when you went in there at night. After Valley of Fire, we drove up to Zion, and you had to pay. The problem with Zion, as I see it, is the camping doesn't give you any other rights to the park. Each day you had to, if you went outside, you had to pay to get back in. Or you had to show your pass, and when they see your pass at Zion, they want to see your pass and your driver's license. Make sure that it's you on the pass. Got to have a picture ID. The other thing about Zion is we picked a site that was next to a bathroom because we knew we weren't going to have bathrooms on a lot of this trip, and I didn't want to have to keep emptying the tank on the trailer. So we parked right next to a bathroom, and the bathroom was locked up and closed because they didn't want to clean it. They figured, you know, if they had that bathroom open, they'd have to clean it, which is true. And the other bathroom was way on the other side of the camp loop. Not too far to walk, but too far to walk if you're in a hurry. The other problem with Zion is right next to our campsite. We were in Watchman's campsite, and right next to us was the South campground, and they were rebuilding it. I mean, they were bulldozing and cutting down trees and adding, I don't know if they were adding electricity or just putting in new bathhouses, but that you heard chainsaws and bulldozers and heavy equipment running all the time. Come here, you. What are you doing? Your mouth itch? Your lips brown? You got bad tooth? Give me this mouth. Give me this mouth. He went to the vet the other day and got a rabies shot. He's good for another 3 years on rabies. So if you're at a rally and he bites you, please don't give him rabies. But he's been a pretty good dog, but he did growl at the vet. He usually really likes the vet. When he hurt himself, get off of me. When he hurt himself and he was limping around, I thought maybe he had broken his shoulder. I told him that we were going to have to take him to the vet and see if they can fix him. And he jumped in the car like Superman. And when he got to the vet, he didn't have any problem at all. The vet that was there at the time twisted his arm all over the place, and he didn't growl or show any stress at all. So he really likes his vet, but the last 2 times he's growled at the vet and snapped at the vet techs, which he does snap at things. He doesn't usually bite people, but he snaps at them. And so now when he goes in there on his chart, they say muzzle. So we have to put a muzzle on him. He didn't like that at all. And the reason he doesn't like it is because it's hard to get the treats through the muzzle. Go kennel. Go on. So Zion was pretty noisy at the campground. Leaf blowers, chainsaws, heavy equipment, running most of the time. And they shut down the road to get into the campground a couple times, so you had to wait. So it was just one lane, waiting for it to go in and stuff. So, but the town outside of Zion is called Springdale, Utah, and it's a great little town. It has all sorts of restaurants and camping stores and stuff like that. You can buy or rent waders to go up the Virgin River Narrows, up the canyon. We went outside quite a bit since I knew I had the pass to get right back in. And every time we came in, Akila would come up to the window and bark hello at the rangers. And I'd say, "You can't remember me with this dog?" And they'd always say, "You know, we see about 500 people a day. We don't remember anybody." I said, "Well, memorize this." And one of them did point out that they're on camera and that if they don't check everyone's credentials or take money and place it in the register, they can be fired. And with Elon and Doge and all that crap, I'm sure there's a real risk to that. But of the rangers I talked to at Zion, none of them were there more than a year. They were all from some other park. 2 were from Yosemite. 1 was from Yellowstone. A couple others were from other places out east. Obviously, if it wasn't like a terrible drought situation, Valley of Fire was the most wonderful state park and campground. They had nice spaces between the sites. They had good facilities, and they had a lot of neat stuff right around the campground to do. They had the petroglyphs and the stairs to get up to the petroglyphs so you could see them. And I want to go back there. And of course, it's only, I think it was 19 miles from Las Vegas, so it was the road to Valley of Fire went from the highway, which I think is Interstate 15 out of Las Vegas, to the Mead recreation area. After Zion, we cut back down south to try to get a little in the warmer area. Zion was pretty cold, but since it had electricity, we were pretty comfortable there. Went down to Arizona's Homalova State Park, which has these cities from ancient Native Americans, and they had a lot of information about them and what they used to look like and what they were now. The only problem is that when we went out to where they are, they're quite a long ways from the campground, but you can drive up to most of them. And they pointed out a lot of vandalism. in these archaeological sites where people would come out and dig around in these dwelling areas and try to find artifacts like, you know, arrowheads and pots, things like that. Then we went down to Texas out of Arizona from there, and we stopped at Monahan Sandhill State Park in Texas. That was pretty neat, except I have a problem with going anywhere that's all sand, because Aquila just brings it into the trailer and right up on the bed. He loads up his little paws with sand, and then he jumps on the bed and releases it all. So we had to keep sweeping off the bed. We have a little brush that we use to sweep off the bed that works really well. But both of those state parks had real good facilities and real nice campsites. A little more expensive than the federal campgrounds, but you know, it was nice to be pampered. After that, we were supposed to go to an Army Corps of Engineers camp called Potter's Creek that's down near San Antonio. And we had stopped there on the way home, and actually ran down to the San Antonio Library to upload videos, and that worked out great. We uploaded 3 videos, checked out all our emails, answered all the comments, and they had a real fast internet and good parking and everything. So Aquila waited in the car while I went in there, and then we stopped at McDonald's for dinner and had chicken nuggets and hamburgers. But on the way home, we were going to stop at Potter's Creek, and somehow I got lost in Texas. Leaving Monahan State Park, which was on the very north side of the Permian Basin, the oil fields. The Google Maps wanted to take me through the middle of the oil fields to get to where we were going. So I was smart enough to not want to do that, because it's all dirt roads. It's really like driving through the middle of the desert. And so we took other routes, and you know, if you diverge from the route that Google Maps wants to send you to, it just recalculates your route, but it always recalculated the route back into the Permian Basin. So it added another hour and a half and probably another 100 miles to our trip down into Texas. And when we got down there, it was dark, and we were quite a ways away from where we were supposed to be. Now, Potter's Creek, or Potter's Park is what it says on Google Maps, is kind of a big county park with swimming and picnicking and all that stuff. There's volleyball fields and tennis courts and all this stuff. But it's on a lake that's an Army Corps of Engineers lake, and this is an Army Corps of Engineers park, so it's really nice. But the lake is almost completely dry because of the drought, and we could not find Potter's Creek. We couldn't find it. Because I'd been there once before, I kind of knew what I was looking for. And we drove almost all the way down to San Antonio and then came back up on Route 281 is the road it's on, and we couldn't find the entrance because it's not really marked off the main road. And I had to call up my son, who was out having dinner at his new house. They bought a new house and they were working at it, and I called him up and I said, listen, you got to tell me where I am and where I'm going. And he said, hang on, we got to get over to the old house. and I'll get on the computer. And he did that, and he told me where I was. I was about an hour and a half north of the park, and he gave me directions on how to get back down onto the route where the park was. So we did that, and but then he couldn't stay on. He had to put the baby to bed and get ready for work tomorrow, and so he dumped me, and we were down where we thought we knew where we were, and we followed the route back to where the campground was supposed to be, but we missed something because we drove into a neighborhood that we shouldn't have gone into. Now this park is around Canyon Lake. It's a kind of a ritzy lakeside place where a lot of people have big houses and big estates, and we drove around in there for a while, and we finally drove down this road that had it looked like there was a ticket booth. It had lights on it and everything. We looked down the road, and I could see lights on this little house, and I thought that must be the ticket booth into the park. So we drove down this road, and then when we got down there, it was just a gatehouse at somebody's gate. And so we had to back out because we had the trailer with us. So we had to back out of there, and it's not easy backing out a 21-foot trailer on a dirt gravel road that's nearly a quarter mile. So that was our second episode of disaster, and we finally did back out. We back up 6 to 10 feet, and the trailer would go cockeyed, and we'd have to pull forward, straighten it out, and back up again. And we nearly burned up the transmission going from forward to reverse. But we made it out. The car was fine, everything was fine. When we got out, we just decided to head home. So we headed to the next route to get back to North Carolina, and we stopped at a Love's gas station and asked them if we could park somewhere and spend the night, and they said sure, and they gave us a couple of options, and so we picked the one we liked the best, got in the trailer, and went to sleep. And it wasn't too bad. We stayed there until probably 8 or 9 o'clock the next morning, and when we got up and left, there were quite a few people around us. But that's kind of nice, you know. You do have all the facilities of the gas station right there, and you have snacks and stuff if you get hungry. And so we did that. But then we got off looking for another place to kind of cheaply spend the night, because we were way behind our schedule for campground reservations. And we drove through a little area west of Houston called, what was it called? Anyways, one of the things about Texas is the speed limit is huge. It's like 80 miles an hour through town. If you've got a nice road going through a town, you're pretty much unlimited at how fast you can go. And driving through Texas, it's flat and the roads are fairly decent. So it's not a big deal to, you know, just kind of relax and follow the limit speeds of everybody else on the road. And we got going up around 80 miles an hour once or twice. And then a lot of places, they have those stupid expansion joints that they don't take care of. And the big trucks with their 90 to 110 pounds of air in the tires, when they hit those, they crack them up. And so they were like speed bumps, get kennel. And as we're going through this little town next to Houston, looking for, we found a Walmart and a Bass Pro Shop that we thought we could sleep in the parking lot. Excuse me. But unfortunately the parking lots were so sloped for rain runoff, it wouldn't have been a good night. The refrigerator probably wouldn't have run. Similar to what had happened to my A-liner, really. And that was the result of that was because Interstate 95 was such a bad road, it just pummeled the bearings to death. And you can't abuse bearings quite so much. I mean, they do a good job of keeping things rolling, but they don't do well on impact. So we're home now, and one of the things the Wolf Pup has a problem with is that the toilet has a space between the bowl and it's on a pedestal, and the pedestal has a bowl that holds the other bowl, and that bowl fills with sewage. It somehow leaks through the flush mechanism and pools in that other bowl, and that creates an incredibly bad smell. I mean, it just, the whole bathroom, the whole trailer smells like sewage. But we got back and we tried to fix that. There's a fix online that you can do. You take it all apart and caulk the area between the flush and the bowl with silicone, and then put it back together, and that silicone will seal it up. But when we did that, I think we tightened one of the screws too tight, and we heard a pop. And I believe that's the inner bowl cracking from the screws. So we had to go out and buy a new toilet. And a new toilet for an RV is $300, as opposed to a toilet for your house is $140. Which is amazing, because the new toilet for your house is completely porcelain and has much more sophisticated design, while a toilet for an RV is a gravity toilet. It's just a hole that goes right straight down into the tank. It does have a little flush mechanism, but big deal. That's the biggest ripoff I ever heard, is $300 for an RV toilet versus a home toilet you can get for $150 at Lowe's or Home Depot. And they're not interchangeable, because the RV toilets are called gravity fed, where they just go straight down. They don't have traps and curves and stuff in them. So that's the whole story of the trip. It's not quite as bad as it sounds. We got home, we had fun. We're planning on doing it again. Only we're going to avoid Texas. I've decided Texas is not the place I like. There were a couple of nice campgrounds there. We loved Balmora, which is the big spring in the middle of the desert. But even that was, surrounded by oil wells. And Fort Davis, we went up to Fort Davis, which was pretty interesting, but I don't know, old military forts don't do me any big awe. I don't really believe in war and military and all that. If you're military and you went and fought for World War II or World War I or whatever, I mean, Vietnam was a war we should never have been in. We took it over from the French, and we killed a lot of people with a lot of weapons that weren't moral. The Iraqi war was a war that we did for oil. We didn't like the dictator we had put in place. We had actually put him in place, and we had a fight with him. He didn't do what we wanted him to do, so we decided to go over and get rid of him, which we did. But most of our wars since World War II have been to expand our colonial. So that's my political thing, and it's fun watching my worth dwindle away while Elon Musk's getting paid billions by Trump to fire people, and he's making billions on his SpaceX disasters that he keeps blowing up, and of course he's making billions on Tesla. So right now I think our country's kind of going to crap. If you disagree with that, leave me a decent comment. Please, no swearing or angry mimes or emojis or whatever. I'm hoping that we get back, I'm hoping that Quartzsite and all the places that are fun to camp aren't destroyed with the cuts in the budgets and all that. I saw in the news today that the government is about to shut down because they didn't pass the budget. So hopefully that'll reign supreme on the current administration, and when elections come in November, some of those Republicans will be out of there, because the government is required to be there. They're not allowed to just shut down and turn off and say, we don't have any responsibility. They have a responsibility to a whole lot of people and a whole lot of things. They take over things that they really don't like paying for, and it's not a good thing. So that's my. What do you think about the policies? He's not big on them either. He would bite those people. He would like to eat Elon's testicles. That's what he says. Huh. The other thing I heard this week is that Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their house in Arizona. And I guess she apparently died of hantavirus syndrome. If you don't know what hantavirus is, it's a disease you get from mouse droppings. And they had a little dog that was locked away in a crate that was found dead in the crate. And the medical examiner said the dog probably died of dehydration, since the people had both died probably 2 weeks earlier, and the dog was locked in the crate with no water or food or anything. One of the media people asked if the dog could have died of the hantavirus, and the medical examiner said no, dogs don't get a hantavirus, which makes me much happier to go to Quartzsite, because this idiot, he pushes his nose into every mouse hole and in rat nest we find in the desert. And I was wondering if he could get hantavirus and give it to me, but no, he can't get it, and no, they can't spread it. So that's good. And when we got his rabies shot, my vet agreed with that and said that that dogs' immune systems are so wide and so good that they're immune to so much stuff that last time he was in the vet, they said he had anaplasmosis, which is a tick disease that is just kind of like the flu. And they gave me $400 worth of pills to try to get him to take, but he won't take them because they taste awful. In fact, we put them in pill pockets and everything, and he would eat the pill pockets around the pill and then spit the pill out. So I said, is there any other way to do that? He says, you know, he's a healthy dog. He's got a good immune system. He probably doesn't even need to worry about it. He probably will be fine. He says he's probably got, you know, the test for the anaplasmosis is immune bodies anyway, so says if we tested him, he might still be immune to it, immunoglobulin in his system, and you know, that just goes to show that he's got immunity to that disease now. So I'm not worried about that, but he does have a bad toenail that I said to the vet, if I just grab that with pliers and yank it out, will it be alright? He goes, yeah, but he'll hate you. I said, well, he won't hate me for long. I feed him, so we might have to do that. But the vet said he could put him down, put him to sleep, and fix that, pull the toenail out. And so anyways, I'm going to throw this right up on the YouTube. I hope it's not as long as it says it is. The camera is shut down 3 times because the recording went so long. But thanks for stopping by. Leave me comments on anything I've said. Anything you think needs corrections, or anything you want to give me help on my next time around. Love the comments. I read everyone. I answer everyone. So don't ever think that they don't matter, because they do. When I read them to Aquila, and he likes hearing them too. Especially the ones that say, give Aquila a hug or a biscuit or something for him. He likes those the best. Because we always do that. We always follow your comments. Don't we, Aquila? Come here. Come up here and say hi to the camera. Come on, say hi to the camera. No, I don't want your butt. Say hi to Zora. Huh? Say hi to Zora. He loves watching Zora. If you know who Zora is. We both like watching Zora. Zora's a good dog, just like Aquila. I think Zora's got better training than we do, though. Alright, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on the road pretty quick. Show you some good stuff. I think we're going to head up to New York in April for the spring break. See my grandson and my son and his wife and their mutts. And we'll bring you along on that. We got some great camping sites coming up for the A-Liner rally. And if you're an A-Liner person, you should be at this rally. Search me out and say hi. I'm not going to be staying at the rally, but I'll be at the rally. So we're going to stay at a national forest around the corner, along with a whole bunch of other people. I think are going to stay there too. But so get out and go camping, enjoy nature, and we'll see you on the next video. All right, thank you. Bye bye.